Hi, I'm Lee Burkeen. We have a great show tonight, a great lineup. Legendary coach Paul Diesel from the 1958 National Championship Tigers will be on tonight. Scooter Purvis, ex-LSU coach and player. Chris Purvis with Peak Performance, Physical Therapy, and Fitness will join us as well. We've got State Farm, our agents. Yes, Bill Barkas and David Wilcox. They'll be on to promote high school football. And Trev Falk, one of the great high school young coaches in the state of Louisiana at Vermilion Catholic. We'll take your phone calls. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to talk high school college football tonight. We might even have a little time to talk about the Super Bowl. Give us a call. We'll be back in just a moment.
A sports injury can put you out of action. But your game's not over because you drafted the right team. At the Bone and Joint Clinic, you're treated by experts in sports medicine, experienced therapists and staff, and the latest equipment and services in a comfortable environment where you're treated like family because we want to see you suit up again. The Bone and Joint Clinic.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. And for over 35 years, ITI has been a leader in technical education here in Baton Rouge.
ITI's medical division offers hands-on training in 3 new medical programs: medical billing and coding, medical management, and medical assistant. ITI offers flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available.
So let ITI help you discover a better life. Call now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat everyone from long drivers to unlucky drivers. Now with 7 locations to serve you. If your doctor recommends physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name. The physical therapy choice of golfers, injured drivers, and everyone in between.
If you're looking for the gear you need in the colors you bleed, then make your first stop Co-op. Much more than just a bookstore. Co-op has the largest selection of LSU merchandise for the whole family, including tailgating supplies, LSU clothing and accessories, great gifts, and a whole lot more. Stop in or order online for the best prices on art supplies, school supplies, and textbooks. The Co-op Bookstore, where you'll always find the gear you need in the colors you bleed.
As a designer here at Bassett, I've helped all kinds of people find the custom furniture they really want. Beautiful fabrics and leathers? Got 'em. A choice of finishes? Sure. The best color combos? No problem. Whatever you're looking for, I can help you find it, and we'll have it ready in 30 days. Custom furniture from Bassett. It's a great way to make your home your own.
Make sure to support Papa John's Pizza, a proud sponsor of our TV show. They do a great job feeding our guests and our staff. Love pizza. I've always liked pizza. I like Papa John's Pizza. They have locations all over Baton Rouge. Be sure to give Michelle Rabelais a call, the marketing director for Papa John's. They do a great job promoting high school football. We appreciate their support. Before we go to our 2 guests, I want to introduce them. David Wilcox, who is a State Farm agent and a very good one, and Bill Barkas, who's a State Farm agent. They're 2 of our sponsors. They know a little bit about football because they played football. They're not just State Farm agents that sell insurance every day. They actually know a little bit about football. David, thank you for being on the show first time.
Glad to be here.
And Bill, appreciate you coming back and thanks for the support. I want to start out. I mean, you're from Minden, Louisiana, right. Bill. You played high school football with Raymond Tate, who came in after you.
Right, came in after me.
But you played with James Britt. Who played at LSU and all SEC.
Played at LSU.
St. Francisville native, David. Head coach at West Jefferson at one time in Gretna, Louisiana. Berwick High School. You head coach at Catholic Point Capee for a few years. You were almost a pilot.
Almost.
Tell everybody about the story, how you got into coaching.
Well, I thought I was going to OCS with the Air Force, and I got a letter from them telling that we couldn't, I had to reapply in 6 months, that the school, the OCS, was full. So I'm eating out one night. I'm looking for a job, and a friend I graduated with from Southeastern said, "Hey, Catholic High Point Copee's looking for a head football coach." He said, "Just call the priest, Father LeBlanc, on the phone and get an interview. The rest is history."
You told me that he said you don't have to win your first year, right? Which is rare now, right, when you get a job?
That's exactly
You inherited 16 players.
Yeah,
right?
16 players. We couldn't scrimmage a whole, we had to scrimmage half line because that's all we had. And
you had no assistants, right?
No assistant coaches.
You had to talk the basketball coach into helping you?
And I sent him on scouting, and I just told him to look for somebody with a clipboard and a hat on his head and ask him who he was scouting, and whoever he was, find a guy that was scouting the same team he was scouting, and just write down everything he wrote down. That's basically the way we did it.
You won a game or two, though, right, at Point Compeete?
Well, we won 5 that year, and we lost 4, and we tied the last one, which was our rival school, Padres High School. They were right across the street from Catholic High.
Okay, which Falls River is now the rival school, the local school now, Point Compeete Catholic and Point Compeete Central. You know, that's an interesting story, you know, and then you get out of coaching in 1975, I believe?
Yes. And
you've been a State Farm agent ever since?
37 years.
You miss high school coaching?
Lee, I tell you, the first 5 years I got out, I couldn't go to a high school game. I'd see the lights. It just put chills in my body. But I finally got over it.
I remember you telling me this. I thought this was really funny. Berwick High School, one of his last jobs as a coach, Dalton Hilliard's coming up in the system at Patterson. He's a 7th grader, an 8th grader. And you told me you got out of coaching because you knew that if this guy was going to face you for 4 years, you didn't want to have any part of that.
I figured Dalton was going to get me fired.
Let me brag on this guy, though, a little bit, Lee. He's still coaching now. He's just coaching people to sell insurance. And this guy's great at it. He's one of the top agents in our company, and he's not only mentored his team members, but he's also mentored other agents. I mean, he's been a real mentor to me.
David, tell everybody where you are, your location.
I'm in Gonzales, Louisiana, on the Airline Highway, behind the Western Sizzler.
By 3 great programs in the area, Santa Maria, Dutchtown, and East Ascension.
Yep, we got 3 fantastic high schools. We got some real good coaches, and
the #1 recruit in the state went to Dutchtown.
Yes, he did.
Alabama. Bill, Minden High School.
Good old Minden High School.
You've been in South Louisiana how many years now?
Been down here 25 years now. And but I grew up in North Louisiana. It was a real rich football tradition. I mean, right on I-20, you know, that I-20 corridor, you got Louisiana Tech, you got all the Shreveport schools, you got Houghton and Ruston, you know, produced a lot of football players. You got Coach Robinson's tradition there at Grambling, and just a real rich football tradition. You couldn't help but be involved and love football and high school athletics up there.
And what I like, what Bill told me, when Bill was in high school at Minden, his coach was Eddie Robinson Jr. Mm-hmm. That's right, the late Eddie Robinson's son,
right,
who personally coached you, and you told me you did a real good job coaching.
Really pulled the team together, and it was a great experience, you know.
And, you know, Minden, if you don't know a lot about Minden, it's the home of Shannon Cornelius, who played at LSU. Raymond Tate finished 3rd in the Heisman at the University of Houston. That's before Klingler and Andre Ware. And also Sidney Thornton played for the Steelers, and a couple of Super Bowls was from Minden, Louisiana. Guys,
some of these old-timers will remember maybe Charlie Hennigan, who played, you know, at Minden High, too.
Northwestern State
State star.
You didn't think I knew that, huh?
Good one.
Guys, appreciate your support. Without your sponsors, we wouldn't be on the air. David, T-shirt from us.
Thank you.
Wear that when you're doing some recruiting. And Bill, we've got some Rufino's gift certificates.
Awesome.
on us, okay? And go eat at Rufino's. Again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you,
David and Bill.
Lee, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
We're going to take a
everything you do.
break. Yeah, we'll be back. We've got legendary guests coming up next. We'll introduce you to those guests when we'll be back in just a moment.
Can buying furniture really be fun? Sure. Come into Bassett, and an in-store designer like me will be happy to help. Just tell me a little about yourself and what you're looking for, and then I'll give you a bunch of great ideas. And our design help is free. Who could say no to that? Come into Bassett and discover the easy, affordable way to make a beautiful home.
State Farm agents Brian Moe and Joan Meir in Baton Rouge are there for you. Call today.
Louisiana Office Supply is the largest stocking office product store in the South with a new 23,000 square foot showroom. For over 72 years, Louisiana Office Supply has met the demand for quality office products competitively priced with an extensive selection and knowledgeable staff. From office furniture to Post-it notes, there are supplies for every part of your office. Louisiana Office Supply, generation after generation, exceptional service since 1936.
Arrive to the game in style in a new or certified Peretti family vehicle.
Jaguar, with timeless elegance, is the sportiest, sexiest luxury automobile on the road. Land Rover is rough enough for all your hunting needs, yet refined enough to deserve valet parking. Mazda will connect you with your inner driver at a whole new level of intensity.
Remember, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you get to the game. Peretti, Jaguar, Land Rover, Mazda, Baton Rouge, New Orleans.
Park Lane Boutique. You should feel comfortable, confident, and beautiful here or wherever your travels may take you. At Park Lane Boutique, we believe it's all about genuine customer service while working with classic, timeless modern fashion.
A sports injury can put you out of action. But your game's not over because you drafted the right team. At the Bone and Joint Clinic, you're treated by experts in sports medicine, experienced therapists and staff, and the latest equipment and services in a comfortable environment where you're treated like family because we want to see you suit up again. The Bone and Joint Clinic.
Go! Check out the website, lafootballmagazine.com. You can get it at those locations, the Barnes & Nobles, Baton Rouge, Mandeville, Covington, Lafayette, New Orleans. We're working on the 2012 issue because the way it works in publishing, you got to get it out and ready in May. You go to the printer in June, and you hope it's not old information when it goes out in August. And these kids eat a hamburger or two. Trev Falk will tell you that later on. All of a sudden, you're 5 or 10 pounds off. But it's probably the most accurate information you'll get on a high school kid from watching games. I watched over 300 high school games this year in the state of Louisiana. I watched every team at least once, some twice, and some 3 times, working for colleges. I'll talk about that in the college notes later. I will talk about LSU's recruiting class. I will talk about Tulane's. And Louisiana Lafayette had a phenomenal recruiting class. Coach Hudspeth had the greatest class in the history of ULL, which used to be called USL, which is now Louisiana of Lafayette, and Cajun country, the Raging Cajuns. I've got legend guests on. I mean, I'm proud to have the legendary coach Paul Diesel on the set, head coach of the national championship LSU team, the first national championship team. in the 50s. And Scooter Purvis and one of his former players, former assistants, former Charlie McClendon assistant, and his son Chris Purvis, who's one of our sponsors and does a phenomenal job with Peak Performance, physical therapy, and fitness. I don't want to leave that out, man. Coach Diesel, again, I'm honored that you could be on.
Thank you, Lee. Real pleasure.
We went over a lot of questions before the show because you're 40 years of coaching. You know, we have to pick a chapter just to fit it in these 3 segments because you've done so many wonderful things. You've coached so many good players. You've been a part of South Carolina, West Point, LSU. We talked about how you didn't go to the NFL at one point at South Carolina. And what I like is Scooter not only played for you at LSU, coached with you at LSU, but also coached with you at South Carolina, which I didn't know till tonight. And Scooter, how many years? I mean, you were coach a long time.
I was fortunate, Lee, to spend 21 years in the coaching profession. Coach Diesel brought me there, brought me back here to LSU to begin that stint. But it was a wonderful experience, no doubt about it.
Coach, 1955, your first year at LSU, you told me you took the job at LSU. The pay was not $1 million a year. Tell everybody what the pay was back then in '55.
Well, I had been assistant coach for a long time, so I was happy to get it, but it was $13,500 per year, and no perks.
None?
None.
Didn't you ask for a little bit more money to come down so it would pay your way down?
I did, and they said, well, we can't pay your way down, that's against the rules, but we will, the LSU rules, but we will raise your salary by $500 and you can pay for it yourself.
And no perks?
No perks.
No gas money for the car?
No.
What was, Coach, did you have a recruiting budget back then? Did they have anything called a recruiting budget?
Well, I think we had a recruiting budget, but no one knew what it was. I mean, but I think in the first year I was here, do you have any idea how many civic clubs there are in this state? I think I spoke at every one of them. And I was in a car without air conditioning, and I was not quite used to this, the weather here in Louisiana.
The humidity.
Yeah.
You went to Miami of Ohio University. What was that like, going to Miami of Ohio? I mean, it's a lot of great coaches have coached at Miami of Ohio.
Well, it's called the Cradle of Coaches, and I think the key was that, you know, Red Blake, Paul Brown, Weeb Eubank, Shem Beckler. There was a great number of coaches that came out of there, and it was Sid Gilman was my coach, and in my humble opinion, he was the smartest football coach that I've ever known. And I was lucky to work with Sid and Bear Bryant and Vince Lombardi and Red Blake, and without any question, Sid was the innovator of the West Coast offense many years ago when he was with the San Diego Chargers.
And then, you know, I love Coach later on when they had Dan Fouts and Eric Coryell when they had Charlie Joyner and Wes Chandler, who the Saints should have kept another 6 years, right?
And you forgot Bambi.
Bambi, yeah.
You remember the kid that graduated from Arkansas?
Crazy Legs?
No.
They called him, they gave him a nickname.
They called him Bambi.
Bambi.
But he was...
It's born from Brookhaven, Mississippi.
Allsworth.
Lance Allsworth.
Yeah.
And we recruited hard on him, but he went to Arkansas.
And where was he from, Coach?
Brookhaven, Mississippi.
Brookhaven. Okay.
But see, he was married, and at that time, we didn't have any married scholarships. And that was the key. Frank Broyles was a coach at Arkansas.
And he got around that part. Coach, we were talking about games. I know that you're always asked the great game with Cannon, the run against Ole Miss. But I asked you another game, and you had said Tennessee, a game that sticks out to go back, you know, when you were at LSU.
Well, I think I always remember the ones we lost. I don't remember the victories very well, but in that game, we were on a 17-game winning streak, and we played Tennessee up there. And Cannon insists, as everyone else who was there, that he was in the end zone on that two-point conversion. But they didn't call it. And I told I told General Neyland that I thought he had the head linesman was on his staff, but it was a joke, of course. But in any event, that was our first loss. And when we got back to this is one of the things that you remember. When we got back to Baton Rouge, there were so many people out at the airport. They said there were 20,000 people.
Wow.
We couldn't land. They had to circle around the field again before they could clear the runway so we could land.
And this is 1959.
Yeah.
Amazing. Instant replay came too late.
Yeah.
Too many years late. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to keep talking to Coach Paul Diesel, Scooter Purvis, Chris Purvis. Coach almost went to Columbia University, correct? We'll talk about that and his days at LSU, and we'll talk to Scooter about recruiting then and now, and also we'll get Chris into the conversation as well. You're watching Louisiana Football TV Magazine. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you're looking for the gear you need in the colors you bleed, then make your first stop Co-op. Much more than just a bookstore. Co-op has the largest selection of LSU merchandise for the whole family, including tailgating supplies, LSU clothing and accessories, great gifts, and a whole lot more. Stop in or order online for the best prices on art supplies, school supplies, and textbooks. The Co-op Bookstore, where you'll always find the gear you need in the colors you bleed.
State Farm agents Brian Moe and Joan Meir in Baton Rouge are there for you. Call today.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. And for over 35 years, ITI has been a leader in technical education here in Baton Rouge. Our commitment is to help people just like you attain a better life through technical training.
Get hands-on real-life training in one of 9 career areas with flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available.
So let ITI help you discover a better life. Call now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life. Have you made the right call?
I made the right call.
It's easy to do. Just touch the tones.
I made the right call.
If you want to talk to the pros, you've got to make the right call.
I made the right call.
It's not that kind of call. I'm talking about the professionals at Gage Telephone. From excellent products like Toshiba to great service after the sale, make the right call. Gage Telephone, 753-4243.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat everyone from Grand Slam hitters to grandparents. Now with 7 locations to serve you. If your doctor recommends physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, the physical therapy choice of baseball players, grandparents, and everyone in between.
College football notes. I wanted to go over recruiting. The LSU recruiting class was solid. 3 of the top 5 players in the state I thought were impact players for the first time in 6 years left the state of Louisiana. The class was a good class. They signed some good linebackers. I think this kid by the name of Ronnie Feast is a kid to remember. He didn't make Parade All-American from West St. John, but I think he's going to end up being as good as Landon Collins when it's said and done as an outside linebacker. He's 6'1", 230 pounds, and he runs a legitimate 4.5 in the 40, and he hits and looks like that on the field. He's not just what I call a paper player. He actually looks like that every play of the game. And that's what impressed me most. Tulane had a great class. For a coach getting a job with only 6 weeks of recruiting left, Curtis Johnson, he's famous for signing Marshall Faulk to San Diego State, Reggie Wayne to Miami, and Ed Reed to Miami. 3 NFL Hall of Famers. Now he's the head coach at Tulane. And ULL, Louisiana Lafayette, had their greatest class ever in the history of the school. That's right, none of the classes that Nelson Stokely had, any of the coaches had as good of a class as Coach Hutchspiff. They signed 4 of the top 20 in the state. Unheard of. We're going to go ahead and take a caller. John, do you have a question? John?
Sure.
John, turn your TV down.
Yeah, I've done that. So
okay,
no
we got
feedback.
you. We can hear you.
Yeah,
what's your question?
Paul Dietz, when he realized the Tigers, he had a special team on his hands, and they were of championship quality. When did he realize they were special in that 58 championship season?
When we were coming back from beating Miami down in Miami. Miami had a good football team, and we beat them about 40 points. That was the night that Scooter managed to run about 185 yards to score a 42-yard touchdown. But coming back on, because Scooter was one of the finest athletes I ever coached. But it dawned on me, we must be a pretty good football team, because we were then, I think they were either 4 or 5-0. And we had beat a good football team that day.
Coach, this was at Miami? Was the Orange?
It was at Miami.
Was the Orange Bowl? Was it the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, in the old Orange Bowl, correct.
Scooter, do you remember that run?
Oh, definitely. I was scared to death the whole time.
Did you feel like Burt Reynolds in the movie?
Yeah. No, we were, you know, it was at the time when the Go team kind of presented themselves. It was an opportunity, and of course we were able to move the ball down and score a touchdown. I think we might have scored the first touchdown. The Go team did. But it proved, I think, to all of us that we could contribute, you know, to that team. That when we had a 3-team system going, so that kind of gave us a shot in the arm, and then the press began to recognize us after that.
Chris, you grew up the son of a LSU coach. You know, your dad was an LSU coach. He was an LSU player in Baton Rouge. What was it like growing up, seeing all this, seeing that your dad played for Coach Diesel, seeing LSU? Obviously, you're an LSU fan now, but what was that like for you growing up?
I mean, Lee, you can imagine, you know, growing up in that type of an atmosphere. I mean, you know, Dad coached all the way up until I was my senior year of high school was their last year at LSU. So, I mean, you can imagine just from the way the fans are now, you know, it wasn't quite as tight as things are now. You know, we as kids could run back, you know, in the coach's office and back in the locker room, and we didn't go on the field a lot. We couldn't see anything, so we sat up in the stands. But being able to go back in the locker room, and, you know, the impression that a lot of those players left on me. I remember a lot of those guys like they were big brothers of mine, because they treated us so well. They were such good kids that played at LSU at that time, and it was amazing. I didn't really realize, you know, how much it meant till it was pretty much all done. I got to college, and it was pretty much over with after that.
I remember with football, my first pro game that I watched was the Steelers and the Cowboys in 1975, and I was a Terry Bradshaw fan for life. I was a Steel Curtain fan for life, Mean Joe Green, because I watched the commercials he'd make for Coca-Cola. And then I watched my first college football game seating people as a Weeblo scout in Tiger Stadium in 1977. Steve Ensminger was a quarterback, and David Woodley, and they had a guy named Hokie Gajan, the Jones brothers, at running back, and I never forgot that game. I was sold one game. You know, I never forget that. And that's why I mentioned, Coach, we're talking about all the great running backs. You coached, you know, Johnny Robinson, Billy Cannon, Jimmy Taylor. We're talking about Pro Football Hall of Fame guys, Heisman Trophy winners. Almost got the Spring Hill native guy, John David Crow.
Oh, yes.
I don't even think there would have been any room for him anyway, with not enough footballs.
They probably would have made room for him somehow.
And then we're talking about the Hokie Gajans, the Dalton Hilliards, the Joseph Adais that you admire with the Colts, and Charles Alexander, Terry Robisky. I mean, you know, LSU's got to be put up there, right, Coach, as one of the great schools for producing running backs. You agree?
Absolutely, and we were talking a little bit about this coming season. They may be a little short. They've only got 6 running backs that all have played and all done well. So they're playing it by committee, I'm afraid.
The bad news, Coach, there's 7 now.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Hill is 7.
Yes, right.
Amazing. Jeremy Hill would start for Ole Miss right now. They just lost Brandon Bolden, who's from Scotlandville High School, who will probably get drafted, went pro as a junior. And that's how deep they are. But I don't think you're ever too deep, right, as a coach?
No.
You're an injury away from not being 2-3 deep.
That's right.
Chris, again, I mean, you're sitting here, your dad's next to you. You got the legendary Paul Diesel. Is there a game that sticks out to you growing up? Your dad involved with coaching at LSU, watching Coach Diesel. Is there a game that sticks out as a young?
Yeah, there's several. The Notre Dame game when we beat them 28-8 in Tiger Stadium. I mean, I was about 10 or 12 years old at that time. Remember that that game forever, the 61-17 drumming when Manning was playing quarterback, and then we had one of the biggest games I remember because Willie Teal, who we were talking about earlier, intercepted a pass at Ole Miss in Jackson in the end zone to seal the win, and he gave me the jersey in the locker room after, and I think I wore that jersey for about 5 years. I don't know if I ever took it off. So there was, it was one of those things, like I said, as a kid, you never forget things like that.
We're going to come back. We've got another segment, and I'm going to ask Coach Diesel about those cartoon drawings that he did when he was a coach of all his players. That we're going to ask, where are they? The players took them. Maybe somebody will come up with one of them for Coach. But we're also going to ask Scooter about recruiting in his days playing in Mississippi and that big quarterback they got out of Oxford, Mississippi. How hard is it to get a kid out of Oxford? It's like getting a kid out of Baton Rouge, like Landon Collins, Alabama, but he's 6'4", 275, quarterback, Jeremy Liggins. I had a chance to watch him play this year. We filmed him against Evangel Christian, and he single-handedly beat Evangel Christian. We'll be back and talk about many more things when we come back, just in a minute.
Louisiana Office Supply is the largest stocking office product store in the South with a new 23,000 square foot showroom. For over 72 years, Louisiana Office Supply has met the demand for quality office products competitively priced with an extensive selection and knowledgeable staff. From office furniture to Post-it notes, there are supplies for every part of your office. Louisiana Office Supply, generation after generation, exceptional service since 1936.
Have you made the right call?
I made the right call.
It's easy to do. Just touch the tones.
I made the right call.
If you want to talk to the pros, you've got to make the right call.
I made the right call.
It's not that kind of call. I'm talking about the professionals at Gage Telephone. From excellent products like Toshiba to great service after the sale, make the right call. Gage Telephone, 753-4243.
State Farm agents Brian Moe and Joan Meir in Baton Rouge are there for you. Call today.
As a designer here at Bassett, I've helped all kinds of people find the custom furniture they really want. Beautiful fabrics and leathers? Got them. A choice of finishes? Sure. The best color combos? No problem. Whatever you're looking for, I can help you find it, and we'll have it ready in 30 days. Custom furniture from Bassett. It's a great way to make your home your own.
A sports injury can put you out of action. But your game's not over because you drafted the right team. At the Bone and Joint Clinic, you're treated by experts in sports medicine, experienced therapists and staff, and the latest equipment and services in a comfortable environment where you're treated like family because we want to see you suit up again. The Bone and Joint Clinic.
Check out lafootballmagazine.com. You can pre-order the 2012 issue that we're already working on. I have the data. We're actually typing it in. I have to change his height and weights. I'll ask Trev Falk that later in the show because I know all his players will grow a lot because he is a tough competitor and everybody will gain weight on that team, muscle weight. I'll ask Trev that later on the show. Trev Falk will be on the show. I'm saving him the final two segments. He's done a phenomenal job as a head coach at Vermilion Catholic. His first job as a head coach, 13-1, 3 playoff wins, 1 win away from the Dome as his first year. Coach,
fantastic.
It's amazing,
Sure
huh?
is.
You almost went to medical school at Columbia University. You told me that. It was close.
Well, I really did, and I had wanted to be a doctor, I thought, but I had an opportunity to go to West Point to be on the plebe staff, and at that time West Point was in 1, 2, and 3 in the country. You know, Blanchard and Davis for old timers, but in any event.
You said their third team was better than people's first team.
Well, because they had so many people that had been all American at some college, and all of a sudden the war is on, and they wanted to get in the Army, so they got to West Point, and so it was a great opportunity, and I was very happy that I did it.
I have to mention this, and my other question to you. You're an accomplished artist. I know you're very humble about it, but you started off drawing your players for fun, cartoon drawings.
Something funny would happen. You remember the old Belly series, and where the quarterback puts the ball in the stomach of the fullback, and then he rides it in and reads the tackle, and he either leaves him have it. We had a big tackle, I mean a big fullback, by the name of Alan Felch from Wisconsin, about 210, and they had our quarterback was Herbie Hunt, a big skinny old boy from Kentucky, and he put it in there, and Alan just he never turned loose, and he pulled Herbie right through. Well, I drew a cartoon, and I showed Herbie with his arms chopped off right here, his hand still on the ball, and Felch, and it said, "No, Alan." Well, that one disappeared overnight. I think Herbie Hunt still has that.
He took that cartoon from you. You said they took all your drawings.
Oh, well, I don't have any left.
Lee, when we would come in, just a quick example, but when we come into the dressing room on a Monday after we'd played, Coach would usually have something to draw our attention, and he would draw some of the different figures and stuff up there. But the one I remember the most was when we were doing pretty good in 1958. We came in one day, and he had this penthouse drawn up here, and he had steps going all the way up. And then right down here, he had an outhouse down there, a toilet. He said, "It's a long ways up to the penthouse, but a short trip back."
You got that very fast. Scooter, you know, I was asking you about recruiting off the air. You were recruiting the state of Mississippi and Alabama back during a time where you had Coach Vaught at Ole Miss, legend, and Bear Bryant at Alabama. You were given the tough territories.
It was tough, Lee. But LSU always has been able to move into its border states, you know, and do a pretty good job. We sell an excellent product in the first place. But you know, your homegrown people are so critical to the program, which LSU has proven over and over again, and that's one thing Coach Dietzel, you know, took care of when he got here. He sewed up those, you know, those home state players. And recruiting doesn't change.
Now, you said it's mom and dad still.
Exactly. I mean, you have, and as we said before, if you've got the right product that you're selling, and you go into the school, and the people know, the parents especially have to know that coach cares particularly about that you know, that kid. And then it's so important for them to have an opportunity to play, because as many of them, they're going to look and see who's ahead at their position first off. And that's a critical thing for them. And then, of course, naturally, that education. But like in the Southeastern Conference, you know, all the schools are about equal.
And playing time seems more important now for kids.
It's critical.
And I've got to ask you this. You were signed out of Mississippi back in the day. LSU signed a quarterback out of Oxford, Mississippi. Lafayette County, Oxford.
Oxford, Mississippi.
In Oxford now, Ole Miss's campus. I watched him play. Jeremy Liggins, 6'4", 275 quarterback. Runs a 4.69 when he's 250. What do you think of that? Getting out of Oxford, Mississippi?
Oh, it's remarkable. You know, even to get one just right across the line into Mississippi, you know, is difficult. But to go into, he must have, you know, seen an opportunity. Naturally, he would have with the quarterback situation the way it is at LSU. He probably felt like that he could play for. And as he said himself, Lee, you saw the quote that he said in the paper that you know, he wanted an opportunity to go with a winning program, and you know, the opportunity to play. And to my knowledge, what we have 3 or 4 quarterbacks on hand right now.
Yeah, 3.
And he's the only one, you know, I've seen coming in. Now maybe they're looking at junior college quarterbacks or somebody else, but I'm not.
I'll go out on a limb here. If he keeps eating and he gets 290, 300, he'll be an All-American defensive end, running a 4.7. He'll be better than Marcus Spears. If he loses weight and gets to 240, Could this be a Cam Newton? You never know. He might end up being a 4-5 guy again. Chris, I've got a question for you. You're a big supporter of our show. You do a great job at Peak Performance Physical Therapy. Your company also owns gyms in town. I want you to promote your gyms along with your therapy, different locations. You're all over the place. You're not only for the athletes, but adults. You treat everybody, young and older. And Coach Diesel, and I think even your dad, and a lot of people come to you all over Baton Rouge, Bruley, Gonzales. But you're a big supporter of our show, and I appreciate what you've done to help us. But the question I have, how's it changed in your field since you got into the PT work to now? I mean, you've been in it a long time.
Yeah, I've been in it probably 22, 23 years now, and probably the biggest thing, technology has come in. The medical profession has advanced so much from our standpoint as therapists. I mean, the doctors make it easy for us. I mean, the medical procedures have become so precise. There's a lot less trauma to the body when a lot of the surgeries that go on, which really makes our job easier, but it allows us to do a little bit more. It allows us to take patients a little bit farther because they're not down so low for such a long time. But yeah, athletics is a great way for us to promote our business. But to us, somebody playing with the grandkids or working in the garden or doing their job that's athletics to them, and that's what they have to do every day. So we try to treat everybody like an athlete. These guys got to get back out. They got to get back out. They got to be stronger or faster or better, and so that's what we want to do with them. And now we're kind of getting on the fitness side, and we're trying to help people realize that prevention is such a big part of what we do. Just like the surgical techniques are better, and that helps us out. Man, if somebody's 15, 20, 30 pounds lighter, the knee pain's all of a sudden not near as bad. We can keep that away. We can get them doing a lot more. And then we've started working with our medical wellness and working with the physicians on blood pressure and cholesterol and those things. And yeah, these guys are both participate in our in the wellness program, which it's a great exercise program. And we try to get people to understand you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to look. Trev's coming on. You don't have to look like Trev to be healthy, but a lot of people want to look like that.
I want to mention though, and this is an honest statement, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things, but Chris is always at the games. He not only owns Peak Physical Performance and has some other owners involved, but he's at the games. He's on the sidelines. He loves football. He knows football. If you're going to call someone to use, you're going to call Peak. Do a great job. You're there. I'm at the games. I see you all the time. Redemptorist, you name it, different high schools your guys go to, all the different schools in Gonzales, all over Baton Rouge, across the bridge, Bruley, Port Allen, Plaquemine. But
we just love being a part of it. It's fun, just like you like watching it. It's something we love to do, so it's fun. Every week is fun.
Guys, I've got gift certificates. Who wants Superior Grill? Mexican.
I'll take
okay, Scooter. I have Rufino's.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
And Chris, Rufino's. And I've got shirts for you guys from us.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
thank you very much.
Sir.
Coach Diesel, I appreciate it again, being on our show. I'm honored, and Scooter, honored
to be here, buddy.
Chris, as always.
All right. Good to be here.
We're going to come back with Trev Falk, one of the best young high school head coaches in the state of Louisiana. I'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. And for over 35 years, ITI has been a leader in technical education here in Baton Rouge.
ITI's medical division offers hands-on training in 3 new medical programs: medical billing and coding, medical management, and medical assistant. ITI offers flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available.
So let ITI help you discover a better life. Call now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat everyone from Grand Slam hitters to grandparents. Now with 7 locations to serve you. If your doctor recommends physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, the physical therapy choice of baseball players, grandparents, and everyone in between.
Arrive to the game in style in a new or certified Peretti family vehicle.
Jaguar, with timeless elegance, is the sportiest, sexiest luxury automobile on the road. Land Rover is rough enough for all your hunting needs, yet refined enough to deserve valet parking. Mazda will connect you with your inner driver at a whole new level of intensity.
Remember, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you get to the game. Peretti, Jaguar, Land Rover, Mazda, Baton Rouge, New Orleans.
Louisiana Office Supply is the largest stocking office product store in the South with a new 23,000 square foot showroom. For over 72 years, Louisiana Office Supply has met the demand for quality office products competitively priced with an extensive selection and knowledgeable staff. From office furniture to Post-it notes, there are supplies for every part of your office. Louisiana Office Supply, generation after generation, exceptional service since 1936.
If you're looking for the gear you need in the colors you bleed, then make your first stop Co-op. Much more than just a bookstore. Co-op has the largest selection of LSU merchandise for the whole family, including tailgating supplies, LSU clothing and accessories, great gifts, and a whole lot more. Stop in or order online for the best prices on art supplies, school supplies, and textbooks. The Co-op Bookstore, where you'll always find the gear you need in the colors you bleed.
Hi, I'm Lee Burkeen. I'm going to introduce Trev Falk, and we're going to take a break, but I want to introduce him so when we get back the next segment, we talk about all the great football questions I have for him. Trev Falk played at LSU, linebacker, went to high school at Lafayette High, head coach now at Vermilion Catholic, 13-1 as a head coach, 3 playoff wins. We're going to talk about his great season, his great running back, his great players. Not a lot of blue chippers. And what he did with this team was phenomenal. When we come back, we're going to introduce Trev Falk, head football coach for Vermilion Catholic.
State Farm agents Brian Moe and Joan Meir in Baton Rouge are there for you. Call today.
If you're looking for the gear you need in the colors you bleed, then make your first stop Co-op. Much more than just a bookstore. Co-op has the largest selection of LSU merchandise for the whole family, including tailgating supplies, LSU clothing and accessories, great gifts, and a whole lot more. Stop in or order online for the best prices on art supplies, school supplies, and textbooks. The Co-op Bookstore, where you'll always find the gear you need in the colors you bleed.
Park Lane Boutique. You should feel comfortable, confident, and beautiful here or wherever your travels may take you. At Park Lane Boutique, we believe it's all about genuine customer service while working with classic, timeless modern fashion.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. And for over 35 years, ITI has been a leader in technical education here in Baton Rouge.
ITI's medical division offers hands-on training in 3 new medical programs: medical billing and coding, medical management, and medical assistant. ITI offers flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available.
So let ITI help you discover a better life. Call now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat everyone from 3-point shooters to 3-piece suits, now with 7 locations to serve you. If your doctor recommends physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, the physical therapy choice of basketball players, businessmen, and everyone in between.
Check out LAFootballMagazine.com. We have our Bayou 25. It's our top players listed. We also have tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to have players by position. Trev, you'll love this. Who has the best hands of receiver, who's got the most quickness in the state, in order, by position. Best quickness, best hands, who plays hard, by position. and this is only watching film, so I've got some 1 to 50, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, the quickest player in the state, by city, the top guys. And when you know what position had the most, when you had the most speed of a player in the state in open field. I came up with about 50 kids. And you have one of those guys. And he's only going to be a junior. Now, I don't want to make you think that Trev's got a bunch of All-American football players. He might have a couple that'll be All-Americans that are juniors, but you had 14 seniors this year that had big hearts. And you won 13 games. You lost 1 game in the playoffs. You won 3 playoff games. Your first head job, your first coaching head job. Trev, how'd you do it, man? I mean,
really, it was just a total team effort. Most of the credit goes to the kids, but it really started at the top for me. We had a great administration that's really athletics friendly and allows us to really support the program and do the things that we need to do. Supported by a great coaching staff and our kids and our parents, and like I said before, all the credit goes to the kids. They bought into us early on and really did everything that they could to try to be successful. I'm not shocked that you did that, though, because I remember when you wore white and green at Lafayette High. You'd wear those white jerseys with the green stripes. You were a middle outside linebacker. I went to one of your games in Lafayette your junior year, and I seen this 6'3" kid, 225 in the middle, running a 4.5, and I'm like, who is this guy? And it was Trev Falk. And you signed with LSU. You ended up going to LSU, and you graduated in 3 years, correct? Yes. 3 years to get your degree. You played with Brady James, came out the same year that Brady played at West Monroe. I don't know if LSU's had 2 linebackers as good as you two at the same time that could run like you and Brady. Since you and Brady. Right. We had a good group. Brady's obviously has been extremely successful playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's had a great career in the NFL. We had a great class at LSU, had a great time, and really just put our hearts and soul into everything that we did, and that was one of the reasons why we were able to have the success that we had. Now, Trev, you played for the St. Louis Rams, you played for the New Orleans Saints. You had that pro experience, you played. What did that teach you? What was that? How was that different for you than high school and in college at LSU playing in the pros? Well, really, the professional game is really a business. I mean, at the end of the day, rather than us going back to our dorm rooms and hanging out, guys went home to their families. So it's just really from that aspect of it, it was just simply a business. It wasn't quite as much fun, I guess, as you have playing in high school or playing in college with guys that you spend so much time with. But I had a great time. I was really blessed and fortunate enough to be able to play the 5 years that I was. I'm not going to mention any names, but a lot of your former teammates and guys after you that are NFL players from LSU, I asked them all the same question. They told me at the end of the year, pro year, they give you a playbook and they say, we'll see you when you come back. Pretty much. Pretty much. That's pretty much how it works, and you're responsible for knowing everything that's in there. So the guys that take care of their business are the ones that have success, and so that's what it all boils down to. Work ethic. Exactly. That you've always had. I remember seeing you at Northside High School before you took the Vermillion Catholic job, and I'm in the weight room at Northside, and Coach DeRuin's in there and his brother who's on the staff that you coached with. And you're not only the defensive coach, but you're the strength and conditioning coach. And I remember watching those guys while we're talking, and their eyes are not off of you while they're lifting, and you have the whistle. And I knew at that time, I'm like, this guy is going to be a good coach. I mean, you had these guys benching twice their weight. I mean, you brought that LSU weightlifting Tommy Moffitt mentality when you were at Northside. Yes, definitely, and I was really in a fortunate situation. Coach Vince and the rest of the guys who I learned so much from. Coach Vince really gave me a great opportunity out there to go in and kind of install and implement the strength and conditioning program there, and I think that was one of the reasons why we were able to have some success. Obviously, they had done a great job prior to me getting over there, but I believe that that helped us to even take some more steps. Now you're being very modest, because before this 13-1 season, when's the last time Vermillion won 13 games? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think they may have won 13 in 2003 when they won the state championship. I believe they won 13 that year.
But it had been a long time
12.
since they won 7 or 8 games.
Correct. I mean, my kids who were seniors this year, they had won 4 games as juniors, 4 games as sophomores, and they actually went 0-10 as freshmen. So
now you become the head coach at Vermillion Catholic. You're 13-1. You win 3 playoff games. You're close to making the Dome with mainly a sophomore team, your most talent. Your quarterback impressed me, Davie. Talk about him. He's a senior. He did everything good. He looked like, to me, a Danny Werfel type of quarterback for you at the high school level.
Correct.
He did everything you asked him to do. He was a perfectionist, and he should get something in college.
Yeah, we have a couple of kids, Aaron David, Ryan David, who's a receiver for us, Mark Laporte. They're getting some attention right now late in the recruiting game. But going back to Aaron, he did a tremendous job, really. Put a lot of time in with our offensive coordinator and learning our system and going out there, like you said, and doing everything that we asked him to do, which was really one of the fortunate situations that we had, is that we had kids that were hungry to have success, and so they did everything that we asked them to, and I'm just proud of them and really happy that we were able to have some success this year.
I'll tell you what, if I'm in Abbeville and I'm 15 years old or 16, I know who I want to play for. You. I mean, you know what you're doing. You do a great job, and you know, I hate saying you're a young coach because you're like a veteran coach now. You paid your dues. You were an assistant a few years right out of the pros at Northside and some other schools. But what is it going to be like for you to get this team to believe in next year, now that they've felt that success? They won those 13 games. What the job that you have to get those guys to think they can do it again? They have confidence now, obviously. But what is your strategy to get these guys back, to get them to the Dome this year?
Well, I think the beauty of it is having the run that we had last year coming up a couple of minutes really short, because our game came down to the last 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, coming up a little bit short. That's actually fueled the younger guys, the ones that we have coming back. So I don't have to do much of a sales job in terms of telling them how important it is for us to train in the run and to do everything that we need to do. To study the extra film and to do all of those things that will enable us to have some success this fall. So they've bought into the program and they're working extremely hard right now in hopes of trying to get to New Orleans next December.
You're one of the best young coaches in the state, one of the best coaches in the state, Trev. Glad I got to know you when you were not famous. Now you're famous.
I don't know about all that.
Hey, man,
yeah.
Look, when you're in town, Rufino's Restaurant.
Thank you very much.
Shirt maybe when you're blowing that whistle.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Trev. Good luck to you. See you tonight at 10:30 or the replay. Next Tuesday, we got no show Valentine's week, but the following week we got Donnie Jones, who Trev played with, punter with the St. Louis Rams, and many more guests. Watch us every 6:30 to 7:30 on Cox 4.